Man, before race boat life can begin, we got yard life. It's crazy. After the storms from the last episode, we got to pick up what it left behind. And the sad part about it is, it also left behind about 72-degree weather with a bunch of wind. So we're probably going to have some windy conversations today. And honestly, what looked like nothing on radar, and I was almost tempted just to keep on rolling, thinking it was just going to be another, storm that skirts around us. Man, we got hammered. I mean, we got hammered hard. On top of that, we ended up with a couple broken limbs, and we even have a couple widow makers up in this tree up in here. The scary thing about it is it's right next to my back deck, and it wouldn't hit the deck, but still. All right, lifers. Let's go back and do something here. Okay, lifers, as I sit back and partake in a little of the nectar of the gods here, I gotta admit that sometimes, when you're in the heat of something and you're just moving from increment to increment to increment to increment, and you really are not looking at the big picture, or you're not looking at the, it's the old proverbial, you're missing the forest for the trees. Well, as we looked over our footage from last episode, we may have been missing the forest for the trees. The reason we say that is this, that we had so many issues, and they just seemed to compound on top of each other with the front motor. It was the floats were too high and it was pouring gas, and then it was too low and there weren't any gas, and then they were too high and back and forth, and then I lost all gas pressure altogether. And even though I took everything out, ran a hose directly into a 5-gallon jerry can, and stuck the other end of the hose right into the fuel pump, still couldn't get any fuel pressure. And we really just came to the conclusion that there had to have been a vapor lock. No matter whether what we've done prior worked or it didn't work, or I really can't explain it. But when we pulled the line off of the top of the carburetor, off the fuel regulator, and just stuck it in that bucket, which is right behind the camera, so that's why I'm pointing over there. But when we stuck it in that bucket over there, that thing in 15 or 20 seconds filled a gallon bucket. It's a gallon plus, a little bit of that. I use them for fiberglass, so I kind of know how big they are. But they're a little bit over a gallon, and it filled it like that with no issues. I plug it back into the fuel regulator, reset my floats, everything goes away. So, like I said, I think I missed the forest for the trees. I think the first and foremost thing that needs to be done before we do anything with the rear motor is to take the fuel line off of the carburetor fuel pressure regulator and do it just like we did the front motor. Stick it in a bucket and just purge the whole system. Run a full gallon through it, if not even more, if it's necessary. But I've noticed in past videos that I made a remark that you could hear the pump on the front motor run, and then you would hear it pick up a little bit of speed for a second, and then it would, like it hit like an air pocket or something. Just a boom. And I thought, like normally you would think that, you plug these things in, it would take the fuel from the tank and push everything out, and purge itself like, say, a Merc-Cruiser trim pump does. And you just fill them up. It doesn't matter where the air is. You run them up and down 5 or 6 times, air's gone. Well, I think that there may be an issue with fuel pumps this way. Maybe it's because I'm using bigger lines and bigger fittings. I really don't know what else you're supposed to use with a 1/2-inch fittings they give with you, but they give you with the pumps. So I don't think my fuel lines are excessively large. It doesn't make any sense to me that they would be that large, and then, what are you going to put on a 1/2-inch fitting? probably half-inch tube, but you know, the 7/16 was about as far as I could go. So that's where we're at. Again, I think I've learned something from these videos, and I hope I'm helping somebody out, or I'm hoping I'm inspiring somebody to maybe pick up one of these old guys and restore them back to their original glory. I'm going to take another partake in the nectar of the gods here, and I think it's time that we go out and we do something, but this time we do it with the thought of what happened the last time and how we can improve and avoid the mistakes. So we totally keep blanking out on over and over again is the fact that we rebuilt the front motor's carburetor and never ran the motor afterwards. So it immediately was out of adjustment. So one of the problems we were having keeping it running was the fact that the idle was set so low that as soon as we pulled the throttles back, it dropped down to about 200 RPMs and go kaplunk. So there's another caveat to add in from yesterday also on lessons learned. Look, it's the big round truck. Yeah, it ain't necessarily race boat, but it's race boat life. Camera batteries that I'm actually shooting with now. It's a real drag when you run out of batteries and you still got things going on. So, more race boat life love, baby. So one of the first things we have to do is flip some water around. Now, this time around, we're going to shut this one completely off. And we're going to turn this one just a little bit, give it some pressure relief. I know a lot of you people don't have to concern yourself with this stuff because you use, you know, muffs and such, and the water just blows out the sides. But if you got an inboard setup and you just plug it in like I do, it's a really good idea to give it a chance to blow off someplace besides, you know, on your mechanicals. I mean, water pressure can be on average between 40 and 60 pounds coming out of the hose. And yeah, you can suck a hose dry in a heartbeat, but at the same time, if your motor's off, you now just pressurized your whole cooling system 40 or 60 pounds until whatever releases, water pump, what have you, which the vanes will, but that means you're turning the vanes around backwards also. So always give yourself a little bit of relief. And we've talked about these guys so much, we're just going to refer to them as our BCs. So we got our BCs running. Okay, with the purge complete, the first task at hand is to get rid of bucket of gasoline. I could see if there was a fire now, explaining it to the fire marshal. Well, if there just wasn't that bucket of gasoline sitting there on the deck, it would have been under control in no time. But I'm going to put it right back where it came from. We also made sure to check our bucket both times around to make sure that there wasn't anything sitting in the bottom of it. Everything came out nice, sparkly clean. Whatever you see in that bucket right there was there, and it's permanent, so we're happy. Now that bucket of gasoline is gone, open our hood back up here. And the purge is over. So the first thing we're going to do after the purge here is to check our pressure and make sure we haven't screwed that up. And she looks good. And of course, we also have to pull our coil wire because we want to pump our oil pressure up a little bit before we actually spin the motor. Next, we have to finish hooking up our timing light here. You think this looks hard? You should try to do plugs in this thing. That's good. Alright, let's get our tools if we need them real fast. 5/8 for the carburetor. Even though we ain't actually starting the motors yet, let's turn our water on to keep our pumps primed. Okay, it's time to spin up the turbines. And there we go. Probably didn't see it on the camera, but it does move. And I have these anti-cavitation pumps in there, so they're already low pressure at very low idles. They are intended that way so they don't cavitate. And long story, that's just in their design, so just seeing the needle move is enough for me. Okay, we've plugged back in our coil. It's time to throw some gas to this thing and see what it'll do. And that's not a good start. Now this is doing the same thing it did with the front motor. I'm going to check my floats. It's almost like it's starved for gas again on the front bowl. And I don't understand what's going on here. So round and round, a good torture will go round and round. Alright, we seem to have the same issues that we had before, but they seem to be happening much faster this time. I checked the front floats. It was down a little bit, you know, not drastic. It shouldn't be like running out of fuel. But we then noticed that our fuel pressure was down to like 2.5 pounds again. And after we purged it, we noticed it was up about 1/4 pound or 1/2 pound. So we actually turned it down quite a bit, and maybe we overdid it. So there's a good possibility this is our fault once again, or a combination of ours and just the situation. But let's try to give this another try here. Swear it's on. hear any wind now. That's a Kiekhaefer 482 beast there, baby. She's original. 50 years old. Badass. Check our gauges here real quick. I don't know if you guys can see them or not. But we got really good volts. Got a good temp, about 140 on the hose. That groundwater is probably about 45, 50 degrees, so that's idle oil pressure. Usually we're about 75 when it's running. Right now she's idling at about 900 RPMs. I'm waiting for my personal assistant, my son, to get home, and then we're gonna reset this timing because I can't do it by myself. So the throttle's too far away from the actual area. You can see the harmonic balancer. So yeah. That don't make you feel good. Nothing will. Now tell me that don't make you want to get out of that damn chair and go out and do something fun. Woo! Woo! Let me tell you, it didn't take much to fill up this garage full of gas fumes, though. I forgot, I can't turn the fan on with the camera on because all you would hear would be the fan, but whew. I'm going to turn the fan on and step out. While we let the garage air out for a few minutes there, we'll let you in on a secret. In the last episode we were working on the front motor there, and we kind of had in the back of our mind that we'll go through some stuff and, you know, and get everything tweaked out, and we'll film all that, of course. But then later on during the day we'll actually take a shot of me just walking up to the key and giving it a spin, and it goes boom, no problem, just like it does on like every TV show. And the funny thing was, it happened. Even with all the problems we had, it happened. I mean, what you saw in the last episode was the facts. I mean, I put that camera down, I flipped the fuel line, fuel switch, and hit the key, and it wasn't a half a revolution of the starter that thing already went. But then you saw in the video also that it promptly died right afterwards. So this is real. This is how it goes. So we didn't get to pull our gag off, and at the same time it was kind of good, but then we had all those problems afterwards. So oh well, it is what it is. But also I'm just killing time so I don't go in there and, you know, asphyxiate myself, and the wife comes home and finds me purple laying in the middle of the garage. So race boat life. Like and subscribe. 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 Did it work? More raceboat life love, baby. Be like a card. Always give yourself a little bit of relief. Kind of like boats. Always give yourself a little bit of relief.
That's why I do. Just kidding.
Alright, we plugged back in our distributor. What the hell was it?